Hey, what's up everybody? Thanks a lot for tuning in. We really appreciate it. Today, we're going to talk about installing a winch into the Turbo S. Now, this is a very highly contested discussion here. A lot of people don't think it's possible because it's really small inside, right above that front differential, but it is. So before we get started, here are some timestamps of discussion points that we're going to be having today. Let's get it on. So let's get to the thing that everybody wants to see first, and that is going to be the actual winch inside of the machine. Here is what this looks like. So this is the winch installed into the inside of the machine. Is a better angle of it. Okay, so here's what this winch looks like installed inside of the machine. At first, when I looked at this, I thought that it was way too small and that it was not gonna fit, but it actually does. So here's how you install this thing. First and foremost, there's a plate in here. Okay, so see this plate? This plate comes off with these 4 bolts. So the first thing you're gonna wanna do is take this plate out of there. It comes out relatively easily, and then you're gonna wanna mount your winch to the plate. Once you do that, installing it from the passenger side of the machine is the best way I found to do so. So basically what you're gonna do is you're gonna install your winch onto that plate. If you're using the Badland 3500, which is the one I have here, you do not need an additional mounting plate. It will mount right up to that stock plate that comes in the machine, and it'll look just like you're seeing it now. It fits really well. It's tight, yes, but it fits. Originally, I did not think I would be able to get the 5,000 pound winch in here, but I do think it would fit. In addition to any other winches out there, I had previously a 4,500 pound stealth winch, a KFI with the synthetic rope, and I do think that would have fit in here as well. The easiest thing that I found to do when you're installing a winch into the Turbo S is to go ahead and remove 4 important things, okay? The first one being, you're gonna wanna remove the hood. Okay, that's easy, that's just 2 little knobs. Then you're gonna wanna remove the center console cover, which is the plastic cover that goes over all of your electronics. You're gonna remove the front fascia. Obviously the grill comes with that, so the whole front fascia is gonna come out. Your headlights are integrated into that fascia. And then you're gonna remove this plate down here. Now, if my memory serves me correctly, the plate that covers this area comes off first. And then after you take the 2 hood pieces off, the front fascia comes off quite easily as well. There's only a couple of these notorious POLARIS razor bolts that hold it on, like so. In addition to a couple of the plastic grommets that go into the sides of the front grille as well. Here you can see obviously the 2 poles that are required for the winch. You have a it's not necessarily a positive and a negative pole in the blue and yellow wiring, but it's basically a in pole and out pole for the winch. Now, when I installed this, I had those 2 cables already installed into the winch just in case I was gonna have some problems with the front portion up here in this area. So I already tightened them down. I had the boots over them as well. And so the wires were just kind of hanging down after I had installed it. So here's a huge pro tip with this, okay? You really are gonna struggle getting this winch in on this side of the unit. It's going to go in a strange angle like this. So you're actually gonna be feeding it in like so, and then it's finally going to level out, and it's going to want to slide to the driver's side like you would want it to. However, the mounting bolts in this winch itself is gonna be coming up from under the plate. So they're gonna get caught up right here on this ledge and on the other ledge as well. So you're just gonna have to be very, very patient and basically pry that plate up as you're pushing it over towards the driver's side. I used a couple of screwdrivers because I didn't have the right tools, the pry bars, to kind of levy this up and get it over. But once I finally did take my time and kind of push it over, it did work out really well. It was easy to align the bolts. However, switching back to the driver's side of this thing, it was very difficult to get that winch and the plate over together. So what I ended up doing is using a ratchet strap. It was a smaller ratchet strap. I put the ratchet strap around the spring assembly here, and then I put it around the whole entire winch in and of itself. So as I was slowly ratcheting this, making sure I didn't damage anything, I finally was able to get that winch over to the driver's side and centered for the mounting of the plate, because the plate's the only thing you're gonna have to screw in once you do finally get that winch in here. All right, like I said before, you've got to take a lot of time, a lot of patience, and make sure you're just not gonna break anything, bend anything. All your radiator tubes are gonna get in the way. They're gonna be extremely frustrating. So just take your time. See, if you look right in here as well, you will see where I actually missed, and I'm just figuring this out now. There is a plastic, it appears to be some type of a wire or cable grommet that I broke. So there's something in there that I need to repair. Really good find, because I could have been driving with this, it could have been rubbing, it may have cut this hose up, and I would have had some radiator issues. So you just got to be really, really careful when you're installing this. I know I keep stressing it, but it is going to take a lot of patience. So after we finally got the winch installed into the side-by-side, the next part was working on our roller system here. Now, obviously, there are a couple different options you could use here. I'm using the part that came with the winch. I think it's a good option. I had one of these exact same roller systems on my last RZR with the KFI stealth winch that I had, and it worked really good. There's the synthetic rope plate that kind of goes over here that you could also install. The issue is in the front here, now it's kind of hard to see because the roller's over it, but there is just a hole for the winch cable to come through, and there really aren't any ways to mount this on there. Now technically you could use these two little holes that come with this assembly stock and just kind of push them through and mount it, except for their interior there is an oval. So I wouldn't have felt comfortable doing that. So what I did is I fabricated the front end of this part here by drilling 4 holes into each side, or 2 on each side, 4 holes total. And I installed this myself using some better hardware than what came with it. And now I know this thing is secure. It's not going anywhere. It's very reliable to me. I was a little concerned that if I only use these 2 screws, that I would be getting myself probably into a situation where I'd be winching something or someone out, and this would be pulling to the side and it would fail, and I would have some damage to not only the frame, but you also have your front differential right under there, and it's it's a very tight space in there. So you don't want this cable going anywhere else other than these 4 corners right in this area. Now here's another reason why taking off this whole front area of the RZR is so important. When you're installing this part of the winch system, you're gonna need to get underneath here to hold the back end of these bolts in order for you to tighten them. Now, whether you choose to do it this way or another way, you're still gonna need to get under there. Well, the front end fascia and obviously this bottom part prevents you from getting your hands in there and moving around. It really is painful, which is why I typically just take stuff off to make it easier to install things, and then I can install all the other exterior parts. So take the front fascia off, do it this way. It's a lot easier. It will make your life a lot better. Now it's time to look at the wiring aspect of this winch. Now this is going to be something that's going to be a little bit more in depth if you are not new, if you are new to winch installs, wiring and things of that nature. I take my wiring very seriously. I like things to work when I install them, and I don't want them to fail throughout the time that I'm owning this machine. So there's a lot of different wires going on in here, but the one thing that I really want you to concentrate on is the relay. So this is the relay that comes with the winch. This is the brain of the operation. So basically this relay right here is what tells the winch to either allow the cable to go out or to bring it back in. So you can already see our yellow and our blue wires that go to those two poles of the winch that we installed down underneath. In addition to that, you have your ground and you have your power, which is your battery connection right here as well. These three little areas right here are for your switch that comes with it, which I replaced with a toggle switch, and for your extension cord. So on the Turbo S, this is really, really cool because all of this is kind of right in the same spot, which allows you to create this really nice clean install. So I've got all four of the large wires coming in from the winch into the housing of the RZR, which is in here, which is where the amplifier is also kept. And I also have the power and the negative hooked up here as well. So this is the stock power cable that goes directly to the battery. It is basically the same gauge wire as the winch relay itself that goes into that, so that's really good. So now when you get in here into this area, you've got a couple decisions to make. All right, first and foremost is where are you going to put that relay. Now you don't want to put that relay outside and under here in this area because it's going to get wet a lot, and you don't want that relay getting direct water contact. So I always put my winch relays underneath the front hood right next to the dash. This is where they obviously again installed the amplifier for the radio system, the stereo. So it's a safe place to put it. All your other electronics are in here as well. Here's your ride command and then your center instruments for the driver. So right here in this area, this gives you really sturdy inbox. This is the little storage box inside of the RZR. I installed my relay right into the back of this. So you can see there's a bolt right there that I use to install the relay. In addition to that, I also installed the extension plug in here as well. So those two things are like out of sight, out of mind once we put all this back together, which is cool because I don't like a lot of stuff on my dash. I don't want things all over the place. It just looks kind of messy. And then I transferred the switching from the Y connecting cable that came with this to a straight hardwire of the extension cord cable right into these three prongs here that direct this relay to do what you want it to do. In addition to that, I added a rocker switch into the front of the RZR, which is also hardwired in through this cable right here. So both of those two things control the winch and how it reacts to what you're actually asking it to do, which is basically what you want, right? Here's a look at the front dash and what that looks like. Here's the switch. Like I said, this is an aftermarket switch. You're gonna have to buy it yourself. You can go on Amazon all day long and find them for about in between $8 to $10. No big deal. Wiring the switch itself is extremely hard to do if you don't know how to do that. Obviously, I'm going to teach you on this video. However, disregard the other cables because those are for different lighting projects that I'm currently doing right now. Here's a shot of the inside of the storage compartment where I have the relay installed here, and then this is the extension cord that plugs into this, and it gives you a 10-foot extension cord so that you can operate the winch when you're not inside it. You still have the ability to pull the winch cable out and pull it in, which is really cool. I've actually used my extension cord on my old RZR a couple times, and it definitely comes in handy. Here's the owner's manual for the winch that I installed. This is the ZXR 3500 UTV power winch. So this was built for side-by-sides and UTVs. Now, there's gonna be a lot of folks out there who are gonna say that this is not a winch that's as capable for the Turbo S. But as I've stated multiple times in other videos and on our comment sections in other videos, is I didn't necessarily install this winch for my RZR to pull myself out of tough spots. I installed it to help other people when they get stuck. I also always carry with myself in the RZR a snatch block. I have an additional 50 feet of synthetic cable and a ton of recovery straps. So I'm not really too concerned that this is a 3500, which if I had it my way in a perfect world, I probably would have went ahead and bought the 5,000 pound winch and installed that. But I'm still comfortable and I'm confident with what we've got here. Opening this up, it will give you a really good idea of the wiring diagram, and whatever winch you buy also will have a fairly decent wiring diagram. If it doesn't, make sure you just go online and try to Google your wiring schematic. If you can't find anything, definitely return that winch because it's probably not a good one. But right here you will see that relay and all the different wiring to use in order for you to hook that thing up. Now this is the Y connection cable that I was talking about. It gets a little funky, so you're just gonna have to play with it. The extension cord, which is right here, has the same color codes as these wires right here. However, the switch does not. The switch is a black, blue, and red combo, and right here you can already see that what we were dealing with is a black wire, a green wire, and a white wire. So you're just gonna have to do your own tests and figure that part out. It's not very hard to do. Just make sure you're taking the time and doing the progress checks, operational checks while you have all of the panels open and out, so that way you can make sure that everything's installed correctly. Here is the back side of that winch rocker cable if you were to buy it. And this can get really confusing. If you go online, you will see all kinds of different setups that you can use in order for you to connect your rocker switch for your winch, and especially light it up so that way at night your switch is lit up properly. This is the absolute best way to set up your rocker switch when it comes to a winch, because really at the end of the day you have two commands. You're telling that winch to either allow the rope to go out or to pull it in. So extraction, retraction. In addition to that, you need to make sure your wiring is correctly back here, because obviously you don't want to install this incorrectly and not have it the way you want it. So there are specifically 8 different poles on a rocker switch, and depending on which one you get, if you buy a traditional winch switch, like a nylite switch off of Amazon, you're gonna get these poles on the back. So this is the back side of the switch, all right? This obviously being the top. So this would be winch in. So in order for you to install this correctly, you're gonna throw the AC power, the accessory power, excuse me, onto 3 of these 8 poles in order for you to light up the top, the bottom, and the mid part of the winch. So your accessory cables are gonna go to pole 1, pole 3, and pole 5. Those are gonna be coming directly from your accessories terminal off the front, underneath the dash, right where we were talking about earlier. This is your terminal that comes stock with the machine. Right here on the left-hand side is your accessories cable right here, which basically means that everything that you hook up to this only works when the key is turned on. This is your negative and then your positive. Once you've got that on, you also have your ground cabling that's gonna need to be connected to this. This terminal 2 is a nothing. You're gonna leave that blank. And then you only have 2 other ones that you really need to wire in, and that's your command out and your command in. So once you figure out which wire does what, then you will properly connect those to one another, and then you're on your way. Now I can't tell you which ones the wires these are gonna be on, because they could be different colors depending on which winch that you buy. All right, folks, well, that basically does it. I know a lot of you might have some questions, additional things that you might want to know. Feel free to throw a comment down so that way I can read it and I will get back to you. My goal is always to is to reply to every single person who asks us questions or makes a comment. So whatever the case may be, just let me know. We'll get it answered. Thanks a lot for tuning in. I really appreciate everybody coming in and taking a look at our channel to see what we've got to offer. Stay tuned because we are going to actually do a lot more videos with this specific build. As you can see in the video, we already have a lot more wiring going in for some cube light spotlights. We got rock lights going in. We're going to be doing a chase light, a rear bucket light, some interior lighting as well, in addition to an external subwoofer to make this a 4.1 system. I hope you guys tune in to watch those, and I guess we'll check you next time.